So the real story about the real syllabus and then the addendum is like this. We're supposed to add stuff in our syllabi, and I didn't want to necessarily add it all. So I made an addendum. My thing's not working. I seem to be frozen. Hey. Is it, no? I think I wanted to show. All right, who's on the internet? I think it's just going kind of slow. Okay, anyway, you see my contact information at the top there. My phone number is there. Tomorrow when you go to lab, you'll see that my office is right next to the chemistry lab. It's really kind of convenient. You see my office hours. I have office hours immediately before this class, and so you can also check my office hours are posted on my door to see tomorrow. I have a Google account that sometimes that's kind of nice instead of Skype. It's kind of like Skyping. You can do a Google Hangout with students or a bunch of students or instructors. I'm going to show you how many people in here use eCompanion. eCompanion like that. Yeah. I have a feed there for my science Twitter feed. That's esnipes._SCI. Are you awake now? Really? Okay. Let's see, what else? So we meet in here Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 50 minutes from 2 to 2:50. I'm so glad that they finally gone on the hour. It used to be so kind of strange start and stop times. And on Thursdays we have lab. You will need the white Petrucci 10th edition textbook. The good thing about chemistry is the turnover in textbook is not near as bad as the turnover in textbook for astronomy, the field of astronomy. So you should be fine with that. As far as I know, there's not a new edition on the horizon. I don't have it. Oh, wait. So that's the textbook that you need. You will also need a program called Logger Pro. Now, if you've done much with Excel spreadsheets, plotting data, you're going to see that Logger Pro does some very similar things. You take ordered pairs and throw them up on a plot. But you're going to need that specifically. You can get it from, let me double check that and I'll tell you lab tomorrow. There used to be a T drive. We're kind of doing different things. And the T drive, there was my name, and under my name was something called Logger Pro. So that's a way that you should be able to kind of handily, I think from home you can get to your T drive. If you don't have internet at home, you can go to the computer lab and download it onto thumb drive. Let's see. Supplemental things, other things you might be interested in. Petrucci does have a solutions manual, student solutions manual. It's pretty good. There's also, and if you bought your text new, which most people don't anymore because it's been out there a while, the 10th edition, there's something called Mastering General Chemistry, and actually that's kind of a nice resource. So if you paid for it or have access to it, it's just, and if you're an electronics sort of person who likes to kind of work problems that way, that's also something you might want to take a look at. So, not for tomorrow, but by a week from tomorrow, okay, lab's on Thursdays, so a week from tomorrow you're going to need goggles. And notice the description of the goggles are indirectly vented. Of course you want your goggles to be vented. Your eyes will steam up or, steam up in there. But you don't want it directly vented. So these are both suitable. They're ventilated, but the ventilation is indirect. So for instance, these little white knobs have access to air to go back and forth. Okay? And then this is one of my favorite, I've had these for a while, is there's holes right here. So it's a thought. But you will need a pair of goggles. The other thing about goggles is I have goggles left over from previous semesters. So I'm going to get those out tomorrow when you guys come to check in to lab tomorrow. Tomorrow's lab should be kind of short, I think. So we're just going to kind of, you guys check in, pair up. If you don't know who you want to be with as a lab partner, I got that covered. Okay, I've never had a problem with that. You'll also need a calculator. I'm surprised, every once in a while, I get a student who doesn't go ahead and get their calculator. Now, the problem with getting your calculator is there's a good chance you already have a programmable calculator. And programmable calculators, oh, I didn't bring one, darn it. The TI-83s and the TI-84s and on up TIs, those graphing calculators, and right now I'm doing like the display. If it's big, it's a graphing calculator. Graphing's not so bad, but the programmability of that calculator gives some students an unfair advantage. So my best way around that is no graphing calculators. But you need a scientific calculator, so there's a fine line. And as you guys know, scientific notation is important in science, it's important in chemistry. So you need to look for a key that does scientific notation. And here are some examples of options. Okay, those are 3 options that you know you have a scientific calculator. Now, if you get a calculator that has more than one of these 3 buttons, something's wrong. If it has 2 of these buttons, you're like, I think that's a strange calculator. Each one of these will put you in scientific notation. Let's see. You also will need, this is my thing for a thumb drive or a whatever, USB drive or whatever you want to call it, something portable. Because we'll be doing some labs where you'll generate data in the chemistry lab. You need to download it so you can go ahead and take it home. Now, even though I say you need one of these, I mentioned T drive, and I've had some students that just email their data to themselves. So there's ways around that, okay? Things just keep changing. So I say this, but if there's a way you can get the data from room 512 to your home, okay, cool. Let's see, you need, did I bring that? Yeah, I brought this. This is mine. But you need a notebook, okay, a lab notebook. And if you do anything in research or anything in a lab setting, they're going to make sure that you don't use a notebook that's spiral bound. Because quite frankly, a spiral bound notebook, it can be torn out of, okay? And these, if you tear a page out, you know, CSI people can come in and find them, okay? So you'll need one of these. The thing is, if you stay in chemistry, you can use the same notebook probably for General Chemistry 1, General Chemistry 2, Organic, you know, Analytical, P-Chem, you know, it can be like your little notebook. All right, so in your syllabus then, you see a little bit about this course. All right, there, that's what I wanted to do before. Okay, so this course is broken up actually into 5 units. Okay, there will be 4 major unit exams. So after Unit 1, exam, Unit 2, exam, Unit 3, exam, Unit 4, exam. Unit 5, we're going to lecture over gases, okay, but there won't be its own exam. Actually, I'm going to test you comprehensively in December over everything, and I'll pick up Unit 5 then. Okay. My exams is coming up in a minute in the syllabus, but as you might imagine, they aren't multiple choice, okay? The exams are very problem-oriented. Oftentimes, the unit exams will have a section where I'm asking you vocabulary, short answer. It won't always involve a calculator. I'm going to be a stickler for, and it's for your own good, for you showing me your work, okay? That's going to be part of getting credit for showing me your understanding. Okay. All right. So broad course goals, you can kind of see what we're going to accomplish this semester. Under assessment, actually that's also covered near the last or middle or last page of your syllabus, where I break out by percentage how much % will be assignments, okay, turn-in assignments, how much % will be the lab, how much % will be exams. Under lecture and etiquette. All right, I haven't mentioned it. Was it in my syllabus? You guys also need, under required, I'm looking, I don't see where you guys, it doesn't say here, although you guys, when you go to the bookstore, they will make you, tell you you need to get lecture notes. I'm seeing lecture notes. It's like playing, let's make a deal. Very good, yes. Perfect. And some of them come in this green. Yep. And you'll need also the lab. And some of them I think are just in a packet, okay, but you will need that. Okay. The other thing about etiquette is the typical thing, as far as sleeping goes, that's a no-no. Well, no, actually, we're supposed to sleep, but it's not in here. And I'm working on my communication skills. So it could be if, anybody falls asleep or something, I will just say, why don't you go find a couch? I'm open to suggestions, some nicer way to say that, okay? I don't want to pick on anybody because every class has them. It's just, the other thing, etiquette-wise, all kidding aside, is texting, And if you're expecting a text and, you want to make sure somebody made it home safely or whatever, I'm cool with, oh, got it. Put your phone away. It's while I'm lecturing and you're kind of going back and forth in a conversation. Or any student going back and forth in a conversation. And I find distracting. So, a couple of things, and just kind of common sense. All right. It's funny, so many classes you take in college are discussion oriented. And I'll have students come in here to take general chemistry and like, where's the discussion? I'm kind of like, well, I don't know how to make it into a discussion class. If you have questions, definitely ask as we're going along. I'll take attendance every day. And what that talks about basically is if your attendance is good and you're kind of borderline for a grade, I'll bump you up. If your attendance is bad and you're borderline of a grade, you just get that grade. Seems reasonable. No cheating. Work together, but don't just copy off of somebody else's work when you go to hand it in. There'll be 4 unit exams. Now, every teacher needs to figure out what they're going to do when life happens. Okay? What happens when a student misses an exam? And so I try to clearly put in my syllabus how I handle it. So you can see that I don't give makeup exams, okay? But what I do for everybody, whether you missed an exam or not, is at the end of the semester, I compare your lowest of your 4 unit exams. I compare that percentage to what you earn on your final. Okay? General chemistry is a tough class. Have I mentioned that yet? Okay. I'm excited. I'm glad you're taking this in such a small setting because it's a weed out class. Iowa, Iowa State, I don't know about UNI or Western, but you have a fighting chance in a small class. It's still a tough class. What was I saying? 4 unit exams, okay? The final is a comprehensive final. You guys know what that means. It means basically all 16 weeks worth of stuff, I'm going to give you one test. Okay, and it's not going to be repeating these questions. Okay, so kind of keep up with your stuff. A lot of it's accumulative, it builds on itself, which is good. So if you miss a test, okay, that's basically a 0 for that unit exam. And so whatever you earn on the final then is going to go in for that unit exam. Okay. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but let me say something about the unit exams. I have a schedule for you. I'm so excited. Here are your dates for your unit exams. Well, that's not it. So if you know that you're going to be gone for a day, jury duty, or something, okay, where I'm giving a test, you can take your test early, but you can't take it late. I'll almost make a change out of that. You can take it early, but you can't take it late. So these are the labs we're going to do. When we're going to do them, take them, and the test dates. So if you see that you're not going to be here in one of these dates, don't freak out. You can take the test early, but you can't take it late. Okay. Are there any questions so far about all of that stuff? While I have this up, this will catch us, I should say students mostly, but notice that it goes experiment 2, 3, 6, 5, 7, 9, 10. skips 11, 12, 13, okay? So you see that you want to take a look at what we're doing. Okay. Okay, assignments. Whew. When you buy your lecture notes at the bookstore, whether it's spiral green bound or whether it's just kind of a packet, when you buy your lecture notes, for each unit there'll be what I call a lecture guide. Okay, and it's just recommended problems. You don't have to do all those problems and hand them in. But I will, for 10% of your overall course grade, tell you, like I tell you Friday, that something's due then the next time we meet. If I assign it Friday, it's due Monday. If I assign it Monday, it's due Wednesday. If I assign it Wednesday, it's due Friday. Okay. So it's always going to be due the next class period. Okay. Working problems is very important. No way around it. I don't think. Unless you're a genius, which might be. One thing about it, here at the bottom it says 20%. Now, I will not accept late homework. I'm like, dang, I'm like, yeah. Okay, I won't accept late homework. But what I do is, what I will do is drop 1/5 or 20%. I'll drop 20% of homework for the 16 weeks. So if you miss homework here and there, that's okay. After you hand in homework and I grade it and hand it back, I will post the answers on eCompanion under doc sharing, so you can see the answers. And I encourage you to go see the answers. Compare it with your graded homework. Very good. Okay, I've got a couple of pages that talk about lab coming up. Okay, but basically lab is going to be 25% of your overall course grade. 25% is lab. For lab, Thursday will be where you collect the data, okay? And then you go home and write up your semi-formal lab report. I'll tell you what I'm looking for with your lab reports, and then you turn it in the following Thursday, okay? I will grade your lab reports, okay? And that is where the 25%, how well you do in your lab reports, okay, is that bucket of points, okay, that 25% of your overall course grade. I laugh, it's funny, not really funny, but whatever, how do I say this? If your data really sucks and you're honest about it, you'll do fine. It's funny, you guys have taken chemistry in high school, haven't you been side by side with a group that's doing exactly the same thing and you get different results, slightly different results? So be proud of your data, okay? eCompanion, let me show you, wake this up. Okay, so who in here? Okay, so that's eCompanion, and I'll show you where I post things under doc sharing real quick some other time, but I think you guys will do right with it. Special needs, that's my reminder to give you this, your first assignment. This is worth real points, and let's see, when will we make it due? We'll make it due like a week from Friday, so a long time. Because there's so many of you guys to come by my office. That's what this is, okay? So my office is room 508, and to get real credit, assignment credit. To get real assignment credit, fill this out and come by my office, okay? And it's kind of self-explanatory, nothing too painful. But with regard to special needs, this is your chance. If there's something that you think is I need to know, or, okay, we can kind of chat. Some sometimes people take long, sometimes people take short. Tomorrow really is a good time to knock this out. You know, if you want to come early to that, or say a little bit after you check in, you guys can just do this. So that's serious stuff. Here's the breakdown. I mentioned, I kept saying 25% for your lab, right? Here's the 25%. 5 plus 20 is 25. So the lab report you hand in, I'll grade, okay? But now 5% of your lab grade is just something I call Prelab. So when you buy your lab manual from the bookstore, one of the back section, and I think it has P at the bottom, like the page number, for Prelab. The back section will be a Prelab for each one of your labs that we're doing. So the word pre kind of implies you look at it and you do it before you come to lab, okay? And so what I'll do that Thursday is take a look at these before we start, or when you guys get started, I'll go around and look, make sure everybody knows. Any questions about the pre-lab? It's 5%.
Is there a pre-lab that we gotta do tonight for tomorrow's lab?
That's a good question. No, there's no pre-lab for tomorrow's lab. Okay. And then 45% of your course grade goes through your 4-unit exams, and then your final is worth a fifth of your grade. And down there at the bottom is the standard. Okay. Any questions? I like being able to give pluses and minuses. It's kind of nice. Okay. Now, I think we'll probably be touching on, well, I guess we won't be touching on this again. Tomorrow we're going to go over safety rules, but even before we go over safety rules, this is a little bit about the labs on Thursdays. We'll meet weekly on Thursdays. Number 2 talks about a lab partner. If yours isn't there, I'll pair you up. Sometimes we need groups of 3s. Item number 3 up there is important. If you're one that kind of runs late, don't run late for lab. All labs are, I have to kind of talk to everybody collectively before the lab starts. And that includes kind of chemistry of what you're doing, as well as safety rules. Okay, so if you're 10 minutes or later, then you might as well not come. Number 4, I mentioned the lab notebook. So your lab notebook that you just want to hug, you know. So be sure to bring this each time. You won't need it for tomorrow's lab, but you'll need it for the next Thursday from tomorrow. 6, I'll pair you up if need be. 7. 7, if you look at this, right, the schedule I gave you, underneath exam 3 are 2 labs actually that are dry labs. And so that's kind of what that's referring to. I'm going to take class time to hit hard nomenclature and Lewis structures, 12 and 13 respectively. Let's see, 9, just make sure that, you know, there's a lot of clear liquids out there. You know, if you spill a clear liquid, you go ahead and clean it up because you know what it was. 10, semi-formal lab report. I think I've got some more information about that. And number 11, I've never had a final exam for lab. 12, be proud of your data. Oh, I guess that's 13. 13, be proud of your data. Thou shalt not lie. True story. Another person who teaches this course has run into it where students will, for some dumb reason, they were there in lab to get their data, but instead of presenting their data, they went out and got somebody else's data from like years ago. It's very strange. So, I know. Talking more about this last bit, about the 20% of your overall points will come from those lab reports that you turn in. But, so keep this one handy. Put a little star at this one, okay? So you will need to be referring back to this. You need to type your lab write-ups. I know we have printer issues here because I think it automatically prints on both sides, but yours needs to print on one side only, no 2 sides, okay? It needs to be double-spaced, and there are 3 sections. This isn't formal, it's a semi-formal lab report. Your 3 sections are highlighted here. You need to have a summary section, which actually summary can be broken down into several sections too. You need to have your calculations, which actually if you had a chance to look at your lab experiments, I tell you what calculations to do, so that'll be that section. And you need to have your experimental data. If I hold this up, this is basically your experimental data. If you read it what it is, it's a Xerox copy of this. That's your 3rd section, okay? So summary, I mentioned that actually the summary can be broken out into parts. Let's see if I did it here. Yeah. You see where it says purpose, experimental procedure, and results in discussion. Okay, that's all under summary. So, put another way, you have a lot of creativity when you put together your semi-formal lab report, but feel free to say summary, and then write purpose, experimental procedure, results in discussion. Okay, that's what I probably would do. The next section, calculations. The last section, my favorite section. Okay. So it's not too bad. I'm not an English major, but I will be looking for sentence structure a little bit and using paragraphs. I will and I'll hopefully do this tomorrow, when I go to grade your semi-formal lab reports, I have a checklist, and I'll give that to you so you can kind of know, like, oh, that's what she's looking for. Because in my checklist, then I just like check things that were, needed to have more attention. Any questions about this? No, I didn't think so. I think I gave you everything I have up here.